Let's take you here now. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy, Sahlulele Luzipo, has briefed the media on the outcomes of the oversight visits to the illegal mining hotspots in the North West and Gauteng. The oversight visits are a follow-up on the recommendations of the Joint Oversight Visit on Illegal Mining report, which was adopted by the National Assembly in November 2022. Now, let's get reaction following the briefing. We are now joined via Teams by Kgothatso Nhlengetwa, Artisanal Mining expert. Kgothatso, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, you spent some time looking at how loopholes essentially in the mining regulatory framework have been exploited through illegal mining and so-called zamazamas. Just walk us through just some of the challenges you've identified, particularly in these provinces that the Portfolio Committee visited, Gauteng, the North West, and of course other surrounds.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers. Thank you for having me. There are very many loopholes within the system that make it difficult to kind of take control of this illegal mining issue. First of all, when we look at the mine closure of mines, it was done in the 1990s. A lot of the mines within the areas that are affected was actually done before the current 2002 Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act was enacted. So what we find is that a lot of these companies that actually left these ownerless and derelict mines that we now have, we can't find anymore. And that is one of the biggest problems, is that we can't actually identify who is responsible, because we know that the DMRE does not have the capacity, both in financial resources as well as in personnel resources, to close up all these shafts and all these holes. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that there is no real regulation for artisanal mining itself. So there's policy, but there's actually nothing looking at artisanal mining that is under regulation, like an act or a bill. So those are the two main challenges.
Just having listened to the Portfolio Committee, chairperson, just talking about, some of the solutions and recommendations that they would put. I mean, how satisfied are you by some of those? One which is to formalize the illegal operations, and also, as you say, artisanal mining opportunities should also be, there should be strong emphasis on that. I mean, just having listened to him, that 7 billion, lost in illegal mining in 2019. And in the industry, 49 billion alone being lost. What do you think about some of those recommendations, including the fact that, the department should be capacitated to deal with some of these problems?
Yeah, but I think the first challenge is that the department wants to be Superman and do these things all by themselves. And I think really it should be a collaborative approach, because illegal mining and artisanal mining requires stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I mean they need to include the National Association of Artisanal Miners, which is the only association of artisanal miners that currently exists in the country, where we are forming cooperatives, and artisanal miners are actually formalizing themselves. So if they can actually come to us and we can work on innovative solutions together. But we agree with giving artisanal miners opportunities, because if you give artisanal miners opportunities, then there'll be an outlet for people who want to get legalized and who want to get regulated. And the second thing is that if you do legalize, can I just finish this? Sorry about that. If you do try and legalize this going underground into unused mines, it's going to be very difficult, especially managing the health and safety, because some of these areas have methane gas, for example, and you would need special kind of equipment to release this methane gas from underground. So we think that if they do want to promote these solutions and actually implement these solutions, they can't do it by themselves. They have to include other stakeholders in the process.
When you talk about these, opportunities from an artisanal perspective, just walk us through what it would entail and how it would look like. I mean, at the moment, what is at the forefront is the criminality element, that is a concern for communities, particularly communities that are where these mine shafts are very close to, in proximity, where, as we've just heard the Portfolio Committee saying that, where do we legalize? Because some of these mining shafts that are yet to be closed. We understand over 500 in Gauteng alone are very close to community spaces. So what do you foresee this looking like in the next while in terms of just legalizing it and also creating these artisanal opportunities?
Okay, I think there should be a two-pronged approach. The first approach that must be done is that you must look at the criminal element, because there's two aspects to artisanal mining. There's artisanal mining, which is community-based and traditional-based, and whereas there's illegal mining, which is syndicate-based and is based with kingpins and that exploit the poor. So firstly, you've got to have security enforcement, and you've got to have informants within people who know what's going on the ground. And then you can be able to uproot the syndicates themselves. And we don't need to uproot them.
Okay, we seem to have lost Kgothatso there. Of course, Kgothatso Nhlengetwa is an artisanal mining expert, as of course the illegal mining is coming to the forefront, and the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy putting a strict focus on that and just some of the opportunities that do exist.